Welcome, everyone. We're here with Natasha Coleman. She has been seen on everything from Steve Harvey to Katie Couric to Dr. Oz show. So she has lost a lot of weight naturally, and we're going to talk to her today about how she did it. So I'm going to go back to the beginning because we didn't hit record, so we're going to do that now and make sure we get everything. Natasha, you're here to talk about weight loss. How much did you weigh in the beginning of your journey? Because it was...
Yes, my highest recorded medically documented weight was 438 pounds. I personally believe I was heavier than that, but that's what the doctors had on my medical records.
And you lost how much to date?
To date, I lost 238 pounds without any commercial diet plans, surgeries, or diet pills.
Awesome. Now, they told you couldn't do it. So
correct.
How did that work? Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, just a little bit background about my story. I'm from the plus size pageant, plus size modeling world. So self-esteem, that type of thing was never an issue for me. I was a top selling sales rep at a cable company where I pretty much flourished. I was the number one sales rep for Florida, Georgia, Alabama, and South Carolina. And with that being said, they gave me a trip to Mexico to go and basically enjoy the fruits of my labor from all the hard work that I had. Well, when I got to the plane, I went to sit down on the plane seat, and the first class seats have arms on the seat, and I could not maneuver my body into that seat. So that was my eureka moment when I had to get off the plane, purchase a ticket. Even though I won tickets, I had to get off the plane, purchase a ticket, and maneuver my body back into the back of the plane and sit where the two stewardesses usually sit. So after the trip, I got back, and needless to say, I didn't enjoy the trip. I knew that, it was time for me to finally make a change. Me not being able to fit in that seat was just, pretty horrible to me. So when I went to my doctor and I told her that I think I'm ready to listen to, her demands of me losing weight, because she was the only one that really, told me about her concerns. And she told me, okay, well, let's just move forward. I'll go ahead and fill out the paperwork and let's get started on your bariatric surgery. So I told her at that time that, I think that's a little bit too drastic. Let's give me some other alternatives. She said, honey, you're well over 200 pounds overweight. There's no way you can lose this much weight without having surgery. You're going to have bariatric surgery. So with me being the top selling sales rep with all my energy and my drive, I had to realize that my real competition was no longer in the field. It was in the mirror. And I had to make sure that I was able to obtain my goal of getting to a healthier size.
Wow. So she told you couldn't do it. And you got determined and you said, I'm going to do it.
I will do it. I want to do it. And I might not have even tried to do it if she wouldn't have told me that I couldn't do it.
Challenge.
But I know that it seemed like a challenge. And she was a very good doctor, wonderful doctor, but she was just concerned with me being a full-time working mother, a wife, having such a demanding quota and schedule at my job. She didn't want me stressed out. She figured it was just too much for me to try to get consumed with such a large amount of weight. And at the time, I was only pre-diabetic due to my family history of diabetes and being so far overweight. My A1C wasn't high. I didn't have high blood pressure. I didn't have high cholesterol. I didn't have any of those issues, but I was still considerably very young. So they weren't really they were more concerned about my weight and just time, because just like my doctor says, your time is running out. And I just wanted to make sure that I was able to, live my life to the fullest and not have to be so concerned with my weight and not being able to get around anymore.
Now, something also happened. So first of all, you got on the airplane, you couldn't fit in the seat. That was an eye-opener. You also mentioned to me how the people looked at you. Can you tell me a little bit about that when you got on the airplane?
Yeah, so coming from the plus size modeling and plus size pageant world, I've never had any issues with self-esteem or people staring at me, or, I never really felt that way. But after I got off the plane to go purchase my ticket and got back on, it was the looks on the people's faces, like, oh my God, can you please, you're so fat, you're holding up the plane, you're holding up our vacation, because everyone on that plane was leaving from Panama City to Atlanta to go right to Mexico. So everyone was in a hurry. And, for me to get off the plane, purchase a ticket, get back on, that was probably about a 20-minute wait So when I got back to the plane to get back on, I was already humiliated enough. And to have to see those people's faces was something that I will never forget. And I never want to see those faces again. And I know you shouldn't worry about what people think about you, but that was the first time I had ever been directly discriminated against or felt like I was ousted, because I was never picked at school because, me and all my sisters were always so heavy. So to feel that moment, that was hard for me. I just didn't know how to take that.
So they made you get off the plane, buy an additional ticket to the ticket you already had, and then made you sit in the stewardess seats.
Right. That was the only place I could fit. That's the only
Wow.
place I could fit. So one of the stewardess sat in another seat, and then the other one sat in first class with my husband, and I had to sit in the back of the plane.
Wow. Well, that was an eye-opener. But something also happened with your son, and it took place on the Steve Harvey Show, didn't it?
Right. Yeah. So when I was on Steve Harvey, my son's teacher had actually started seeing my weight loss, and she had noticed that I was losing weight. And you know how kids are. Kids, I was volunteering every now and then when I could at my son's school, and my son was getting teased about my weight, and it was really, really bothering him. So he was getting in a lot of trouble. Like every day I was getting calls, but he never would pinpoint and tell me what exactly the issue was. So I would say to him, I'm tired of this. I'm working. I have 2 other kids to raise. I was just frustrated, and I wanted him to get it together. So one day, I think I was at my wit's end. I had a really, really, really important call that I had to go on to close the sales deal. And I got a call from my son's school telling me to come pick him up. So I'm done at this point. So I got to the school and I was like, what is your issue? What is going on here? You have got to stop this behavior. I have to work. Your dad has to work. So finally he said, well, they're picking at you because of your weight, and it's bothering me, and I'm having to get in fights for it. So I then realized not only, and at this time I had already lost like 60 pounds, but of course, at 438 pounds, when you lose 60, you're still a fat kid. I mean, kids don't know if they still see you, as heavy as you were before. So that was frustrating to me because I had already started and I had already made really good progress. But then I had to realize that this was not just my problem. This was not just something that was affecting me. Now my weight and my food choices was affecting my children. Not only because I wasn't setting a good example for them, but because now my weight was affecting his progress at school, and that wasn't fair. So at that point, I knew that even though at one time, during that day, I can remember going back and forth. I was thinking in my mind, I'm just going to stop. I'm not going to worry about this. I'm not going to even try to lose any more weight. I've already lost 60 pounds. He's still getting teased. But then I got mad because then I said, this is something that has to be addressed. And I want to be able to make the change in my family and to break the generational curse of obesity and heart disease and all the other issues that run rapid in both sides of my family.
Right. Okay. Well, that's amazing. And then you went on Steve Harvey with your son.
Yeah. So the teacher sent an email to them. And at the time I had already started to mentor several other women here in my community who all had BMIs over about 30, who were also working wives and mothers, to try to show them, the steps that I did so far to lose the amount of weight that I had at the time. And we affectionately called ourselves Fit Club, and we met every week over at the clubhouse, and we would talk about healthy eating options. We would motivate each other. We would share recipes. And his teacher had actually got wind of that as well. So when she emailed them, the Steve Harvey Show, I was contacted like immediately. And it was probably about the month before Mother's Day. And they asked me to come on. They called me on a Tuesday, and they wanted me there on Thursday morning. So it was very short notice. And they pretty much demanded that I was there. And I was kind of confused. I was like, look, I work. I have to get it. They're like, no, we need you to come here. We need you here. So I went to the show. I had the chance to meet Mr. Harvey. He's an amazing person. And his staff was absolutely phenomenal. And we talked about Joshua and the issues that he had at school and how much he had advanced and how much better he was. And he wrote a note to Mr. Harvey, and he told me on the show how proud he was of me losing the weight.
Right.
And then at the end, Steve Harvey gave me a 3-day, 2-night trip to Las Vegas, and it was all expense paid. It was 2 plane tickets. He gave me a $500 gift certificate to the spa there at Mandalay Bay. He sent me to his favorite restaurant that, and he gave me like a $500 gift certificate for that, and then like $500 in spending money on top of my hotel. It was absolutely phenomenal. So when I was there, it felt like I was like in a dream, and they told me all this stuff that I was getting at the end, and then the show just went off, and I felt like I was going to faint. Like, I felt like,
but wait, they put you there under false pretenses, though. They didn't tell you about all of this, right?
They did not tell me. They actually had played a joke on me before I came out onto the stage, and they said, well, you're not going to actually, interview with Mr. Harvey. You're going to interview with one of our associate producers. And they went through the whole motions of that. So I was like, well, where's my son? Because Joshua was with Mr. Harvey the whole time. I didn't even know where he was. So then finally they brought me on the stage, and the audience was there, and they were clapping. And, I got a chance to meet Mr. Harvey, and he told me that he was very proud of me. And he told me that he appreciated me being able to actually reach out to my community to actually get them on track.
And that's what you thought you were there for, just to be common.
Yes. Yes, and I was cool with that.
The community.
I was cool with that.
Okay. All right. Well, that's great.
They sent me there. So I was fine with, talking about my group. I had no idea that he was going to give me that trip. That's no amazing. Idea. It was amazing.
That is amazing. Now, to be that heavy of over 400 pounds, what kind of things did you do to start to lose the weight? And then I'm going to ask you for 3 tips for everyone who's listening that they can even use to lose weight. Because we hear all of this, usually same things over again. But if you can tell us something unique about what worked for you, and then I'm going to chime in because you once Facebooked something that I'm going to talk about that helped me. So I'll tell you about that later. Yeah, go ahead.
Awesome. Okay. So the question was what I do to get started, right?
Yes.
Okay, so being 438 pounds, there is not very much exercise you can do. So I figured that it had to be with the food. So I went and I started Googling, and I started trying to reach out to find someone who had the same demographics as me that had to lose over 200 pounds without having surgery. So I couldn't find that person. I could not find someone who was African-American with children and married and working full time. So I decided to do what I knew, were the first steps. And the first thing I knew was to release the soda. And I released all soda. That was diet soda, regular soda, all sodas other than water. I took that out of my diet. I removed all fried foods. I didn't eat anything else fried. And I also removed all processed sugar. So I still ate fruit, but I stopped eating so much cake because I used to eat like a lot of cake.
I'm a cake girl.
No, I'm talking about like a cake that was made for 22 people, like a small office cake. I was eating that by myself.
Oh my goodness.
Seriously.
Okay.
So I was eating a lot of sugar. Sugar was my weakness. So when I stopped those 3 things, and in 30 days, 1 month, I was down 42 pounds.
Wow.
That's with no exercise.
Wow.
Now remember, I'm 438 pounds, so I was much, much heavier. So releasing that many calories and so much sodium and sugar and everything from my diet, immediately the weight's going to just come off because it's not supposed to be there.
Right.
So it was very hard for me to get rid of the caffeine and the sugar cravings. I thought they were going to kill me. But I knew it was a bigger picture, and I had to see something. I had to have some type of constant consistency to be able to move to my next level. And my next level was to get out of the 4s. So I was 438 pounds, but I wanted to get under the 4s, then to the 3s. So I had to make small goals and get to those one step at a time.
And you also did another thing you say about parking your car, which made a lot of sense.
Yeah, so with me not exercising, usually I would park like in the door, no matter where I went, if it was at work, if it was at the store. I used to like circle around the parking lot and wait for people to come out to see where they're parked so I can go in their parking space if it was up front. But anyway, so at my office, my first workout was the parking lot. So I used to park as far away from the office that was still, because it was a big office, huge parking lot. So I used to park as far away from the office as I could, and I walked all the way in. And then my office was way on the other side. So that might not sound like a lot to some people who are very, very active. But for me, that was a big deal because the first probably about 2 weeks, I was out of breath, like dead. And I was sweating profusely. I was a different color because I live in Florida. It's very humid here. So to walk through that huge parking lot and then walk all the way through the building, I'm already tired and irritated. So the first thing I wanted was soda. But remember, I had released that as well. So with just that walking, the following month, I lost like another 20 pounds. So I had already incorporated removing those toxic foods and still doing my parking lot walk.
Okay.
Until I was able to move up to the next level.
Well, that's great. Can you tell us 3 things that maybe our audience can use that, like just 3 tips that they can use to help them that you found that work really well for you?
Sure. And the first is the one, like I was saying, the toxic foods.
Mm-hmm.
So we all know that we're all Americans, and we all pretty much know what to do, but sometimes you have to see someone else do it so you can implement it as well. So the toxic foods are the sodas. That includes diet as well. I mean, sometimes you can read all the articles. They found out that diet sodas also lead to people gaining weight and also still wanting to eat some of like the junk foods and different things like that. So the toxic foods were the sodas, the processed sugar, and the fried foods. Right. So those 3 things are necessary. The second thing is to stay consistent no matter what. So everything works. Everything works. So Weight Watchers works, Nutrisystem works, HCG works, surgery works, everything works, but you have to stay consistent. You have to stay on the grind no matter what. No matter if it's holidays that are coming up, if it's birthdays, those things are going to come up regardless. But you have to know in your mind that you are in fact ready to make this change. And it's not going to be easy. So I would say number 2 would be stay consistent. And number 3 is to make sure that you know your why. Why do you want to do it? And when you find out that why, make sure you have a clear definition of why you're doing it. It may be right now. It may be for your family. It may be to get into a smaller dress size. It may be to get your blood pressure down. Whatever your why is, stick to it. Think about it. Don't let it go. Because if it's something that you think about all the time and it's something that you know that you're capable of doing, you can do it. Absolutely, you can do it.
That's great. And you're right. They all do work. And I just want to share this because I lost 70 pounds. You actually helped me with that. But when I first started Weight Watchers, I did it 4 times before I actually succeeded. And I remember the first time I did it, I lost 10 pounds. I was really happy. Then Thanksgiving came and I went to see my mom. And when you're around mom and she's cooking her food, you don't get that. Yeah. But maybe once a year, if I see her once a year. So gained the 10 pounds back in that 1 week. And then I didn't, it's so horrible. But you posted something and someone asked it, did you ever skip meals? So we'll get to you with that in a minute. Hold on, Pearl. We'll get back to you with that one. But you posted something about during the summer, sometimes you would eat watermelon in at night. And I know I'm just going to say this. More than Black people like watermelon, so don't come with me with jokes or stereotypes. I just have to say that. If y'all know, I'm crazy anyway, so I'm going to say it. But I just got to say that. So anyway, watermelon. You said something about watermelon eating at night, and you posted that. And that's when I was first starting to try to really lose weight. And, I found out from eating watermelon at night, and I would have to eat like a quarter of it to get full, but it was filling. And I was hungry after. But I needed to do that because I'm the type of person, I have to see some results right away. So if I'm trying to lose weight and I'm trying to eat healthy and I don't see any weight coming off, I'm going to give up in like 2 to 3 weeks for sure. But
most people will. Yeah.
So when you posted, I'm eating watermelon sometime at night, even though all of the, food groups might not be there, it helped to jumpstart me to a better eating lifestyle. So once I start losing the weight, then I could go back to the 4 food groups and stuff like that. But that just eating watermelon at night, you said cabbage, sometimes you would do just cabbage. Yeah. But because I found out for me what works was eating lighter at night and eating heavier during earlier in the day. Yes. You kind of helped me find that working process for me because everybody's different. I didn't know why I couldn't lose weight. I tried portion control. And my thing was metabolism was slowing down. So I tried exercise and I would gain muscle and gain weight. So that was discouraging for me. Even though I saw the difference, I wanted to lose weight. So when you posted, I said, let me try that because I love watermelon. Everybody loves watermelon. Who doesn't love watermelon? So I said, let me try that. And I ate like a quarter of watermelon, was full, didn't have any hunger pains, went to sleep. And just went to bed, I saw the weight falling off. I know it's not like the healthiest suggestion, but it works. And
it does work. Yeah. And I think that it works because, like you said, if you eat that larger meal during the day, that'll keep you fuller longer. And when you're in a healthy lifestyle and you just want to see the weight move, It's all about getting through the day.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? If you can make healthy food choices all the way through the day, and then you can stay on track without eating the processed foods, the fried foods, or the sodas, then it feels like you're actually doing something. So even though it's not all of the food groups that you should be eating, you have to find out what works for you and tweak it. So, and I've done collectively several different things, because, you know, you can't lose over 200 pounds and do the same thing every time. You know, you can't stay where you started. So I've had to change and modify several things to be able to get to the point where I am today.
Right, right. Now, someone asked, how tall are you?
I'm 5'9".
5'9". So we're almost the same height. I'm 5'8.5". So,
yeah.
But yeah, losing that weight. So that's the biggest tip that I think you guys want to definitely get out of this, is that eating lighter at night.
Yes.
You'll see some faster weight loss, whether
Absolutely.
it's a salad or whatever it is. Because
or soup.
Yeah,
soup.
I do that,
Mm-hmm.
and I tell everybody, like, I should be the Panera, spokesperson, because even though Panera, you can still gain weight there because they have some fatty foods. But I would always do my the pick two on the menu, where you get two items, and I would get the cup of soup, not the bowl, not the bread bowl, because the bread bowl is not going to help you. The cup of soup, and I would get something else. Usually I like what they have, the chicken Cobb avocado salad, and I would eat the salad sometimes for dinner. And sometimes I would have the soup for lunch. And I did that for like months. I never got tired of their broccoli cheddar, because it's, for some reason,
it's good.
It's good, and it's low calorie. I don't know how they do it.
Yeah,
but it's low calorie.
Well, they use the low calorie cream of chicken soup.
Oh, I see.
In it.
It's so
good.
It's
not that thicker. They also use whipped butter at Panera instead of the real thick butter, which is actually less calories.
Well,
too.
It tastes good, and that's what I needed, because I am such a big kid. Everything has to taste good, or I'm not doing it.
You're not going to eat it.
And then I discovered Weight Watchers because I have a sweet tooth and I love cheese. Those are the two things. So I discovered Weight Watchers desserts, even though they're a little more processed than I like, because I don't like food that's preserved and all that. But when I have a sweet tooth, and you said mention cake, I love cake. So they have the red velvet Weight Watchers cakes. They have the carrot cake. So I have a staple of those. So when I really am craving cake, I go to that to try to satisfy that craving. And then the cheese, I discovered I think it's Sargento's.
Those are good.
Yeah, they're more waxy than the cheese I like, because the cheese I like is just heaven. But the cheddar on the chunk, just cut it off. That's heaven compared to this. But I get the Monterey Jack blend, and that satisfies my craving for cheese. So that's what I think a lot of people can do too, is to supplement. Like, you love sugar. And I love iced tea. To teach yourself, you have to start teaching yourself ways to still enjoy that tea without all the sugar. So whether it's
or modify it,
right.
Modify it. Like, if you know that you're going to dinner, like even in my classes, I now teach healthy lifestyle classes. And usually you're an adult, you're going to dinner one night. So you kind of scale back at breakfast, you scale back you scale back a little bit at lunch, and then you just still enjoy yourself, but still know to eat in moderation, because even if we do go to a restaurant and choose healthy things, it's still different than the way we cook it at home, So those are also, and it's not, and I try to tell women a lot of times, honestly, Janice, when it comes to the food that you eat, us women, we're very particular about our hair and our nails and our bags and everything else. I want us to be just as particular about the things that we eat.
Right.
And you always hear people say, it's more expensive to eat healthy food. It's really not. And I do supermarket tours, and I show people how to shop at the grocery store. When you remove the processed food for fresh food, you do have to go to the grocery store more often.
Oh, absolutely.
But you don't necessarily spend more money. So it is more inconvenient, definitely, but it's not necessarily more money. So, but even if it is, you're worth it.
Right.
I mean, it's you, it's your health, it's your body. So just as important as your nails and your hair is, you need to also be careful of the things that you're eating as well. Make that just as important.
Right. See, me, one reason I like going to the restaurant to Panera is because I'll buy all of this stuff to make a salad, and it's sat around in the supermarket so long that it rots before I can get to it, like for the third time, and I feel like I'm wasting so much. So I'd rather just buy my salads fresh. So that's what I do. But I wanted to talk to you a little bit about how
that's white bronze body.
This whole weight loss deal has launched a second career for you.
Yes,
tell me about that.
Absolutely.
Tell me about what experiences you've had with this.
So after Steve Harvey, I went back to the cable company, and everyone was raving about my appearance there. And during that time, it was we're going through a name change with the company. You know how that goes. Things just change. People change. Morals change. Visions change. And I just wasn't with that change. My life when you have such a drastic weight loss and things just happen so drastically in your life, and you just totally look at things different, like your entire outlook on life changes. So before I was contacted by Marlo Thomas to be in her book for 60 inspirational women who had reinvented their life, I was contacted. Well, the group, my Fit Club group that I was mentioning about earlier, I had took them over to the Florida Department of Health and had them be a part of the National Diabetes Prevention Program. And my 26 women, out of all 26 of them, during a 16-week period, had lost over 200 pounds as a group. So in 16 weeks, these women were losing 10 to 15 pounds, but look at the difference. Look at the health benefits that actually came from them making that change. So after I volunteered, I don't know how I did it. Honestly, I do not know how I did it working full time with a family. But I volunteered helping these ladies with the diabetes prevention program. I would go to the classes. I was there to motivate them. I did the program with them. We still walked together. We talked together. We prayed together. We cried together to get through those moments. And, the next week I was contacted by the Florida Department of Health asking me if I would be a part of the Florida Healthiest Weight Initiative, because Florida is one of the most overweight states in the nation. So they asked me to partner with the Florida Department of Health here in Bay County and to be the facilitator, or basically the ambassador for the National Diabetes Prevention Program, which is a healthy lifestyle program. So my background is sales and marketing, as you can tell, because I talk so fast and so fluently. So I can talk and I can sell anything, but to be put into this realm, to be in the medical field, it's almost like an oxymoron. It was hard for me because I felt like I didn't have the medical experience to go in that place, but I know I do, because my job is to facilitate people, to show them the importance of a healthy lifestyle. So I have lived the nightmare of being morbidly clinically obese. I know that feeling. It's very, very fresh on my mind. I still have some of my old clothes, some of my larger shoes, and some of my high heels that I had broken, from being so heavy. But I now can sell the dream of a healthy lifestyle because I have made the transition. So I can stand flat-footed and tell anyone, sure, you can do this. I've lost over 200 pounds, and I've had maybe 2 or 3 clients that were close to what the amount I was when I started, and they have had great success. But I have yet to meet anyone who was as heavy as I was. And I wish sometime when I sit in my groups, because our group, I facilitate 5 classes here in the county, and each group has between 12 and 15 people. And in each group, I sit there sometime and I just think, man, I wish they had something like this, in my area, because I didn't have anyone to turn to. I mean, I'm the youngest of 4 girls. All of my sisters are still, overweight. And my family, my dad's side is very, very overweight. My mom's side, they were overweight, but they had more of the heart disease and the cholesterol problems. So I was born into these horrible medical conditions, but I realized that I'm the change. No matter what my family background is, I am the change. I am the one that makes the choices of going to exercise and to make healthy food choices.
Okay. And we are going to get to your questions. We have some really good questions. I just want to get through
Sure.
this, and we're going to go back to them toward the end. But you're right, because I remember thinking when I see people lose a lot of weight, before and after photos, they must be doing something else. This can't be real, because I tried it and I can't lose weight. So I think they're doing pills or something. I remember thinking one girl, pills from Mexico. I'm like, they gotta be doing something else. But
I've heard of some crazy stuff, and I get accused. I've had one girl, honestly, walk up to me in the store, and she was like, I really think you had bariatric surgery. And, if you didn't have bariatric surgery, you have marks on your stomach. I said, are you asking me to see my stomach? She was like, yeah. And I pulled my shirt up. I was like, I did not have any bariatric surgery. Wow. And it's not that I'm actually picking or prodding at anyone, because I know people who have had amazing results from bariatric surgery. It just wasn't for me. So if I can say that I didn't have it, and it's options, it really doesn't matter, honestly. I did not have the surgery, but it doesn't matter what it takes to get to total health. Whatever it takes for you to get there, and it does not cost you your liver or a heart artery, you know, because some of those diet pills are really scary.
Oh, yeah.
And whatever it takes for you to get to a healthier size, that is the goal. That is definitely the goal.
I agree. Now, you go out and you also are a speaker with WeSpeak Worldwide, which is my company.
Yes.
That's the logo back there. And I'm so glad to have you on the roster. But what do you do when you go out and speak to groups? Because you go all over the country, anywhere people want you, right? So what do you do with them?
I do. And, you know, it depends on if it's a one-day thing where I go and motivate and inspire people by telling my story and, you know, really doing an accurate, full account of the things that took place during my journey. Or I can do something like a 3-day stay where we talk about nutrition. We really dive into the food groups and what foods are associated. I give some really good ideas with different food combinations that actually work for certain body types. We talk about different things and different ways to be successful when you're going out to eat and how to make good food choices when you're out, how to deal with the stress of a healthy lifestyle, the ups and downs of this. You know, this is crazy. This stuff is hard work. And I never, ever, ever try to sugarcoat it to anyone because it's very hard to change your environment or change who you are and you're born into a certain type of culture. So what I try to let people know is that this change is forever. It has no end date. It goes on and on and on, and you have to incorporate it to who you are and make it work for you. So some people might not get as, you know, drastic as I am. Some people might not be able just to stop soda, stop sugar, stop it automatically, but small changes make big results. So our goal is for you to eat less of those things, drink less of the soda, eat instead of eating, because I was eating at the fast food restaurants twice a day, sometimes 3 times a day. Janice, sometimes I would go get 3 meals from the same person on the same shift.
Wow.
Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I used to go see this, and I knew the people who were working that day. I mean, it was crazy. And I would walk up there and they would know what I wanted. So I know how hard it is to break food addictions, not only for fast food, but for sugar as well. Like, you know, a lot of times when I speak publicly, I seem to come back to sugar and food as being almost like a drug. But for me, it is.
It is a drug.
It is a drug. And I try to explain to people, you know, when you're over 400 pounds, the words portion control and moderation don't even register. Like, what is that? I didn't even, honestly, when I started to look into the classes and they were saying to eat your ice cream out of a small cup, I had never eaten ice cream out of a cup. It used to come directly out of the pint into my mouth. So me personally, I could not eat a little bit of ice cream or one slice of cake because if it gets in my mouth, I'm going to eat all of it. So I had to totally remove myself from the situation. And being a sugar addict is hard for me because when you're doing drugs, you can remove yourself out of drug house. When you're alcoholic, you can stay out of the bars. But food is something we need to live. And you have to be strong and your mind has to be set to be able to make those good food choices every time. And it's hard. It's very, very difficult.
Mm-hmm. I got to tell you, I tell everyone I've had 3 kids and trying to just maintain my weight and you know, I lost 70 pounds is one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. You know, I had the opposite problem. I was skinny all of my life. I could eat a box of pizza and not see a pound from it. Matter of fact, I would lose weight. And then I hit 40s and then my metabolism just said, nope, not happening anymore. I'm stopping. You know, I'm going on vacation. I'm not coming back. So then I noticed I was gaining weight. First, it was nice. You know, I was like, oh, I'm getting little curves. You know, this is cute. Then all of a sudden it just kept going. So I couldn't stop it. So I know for a fact I could, you know, testify that it is one of the hardest things, and it still is one of the hardest things. As far as the sugar addiction you're talking about, I'm addicted to Pepsi. I love Pepsi. Coke, not so much, but Pepsi, I really can tell the difference.
My mom is too.
If it's Coke in a fountain, I can deal with it, but Coke out of the bottle, no. But I can get, if you give me a Pepsi today, just buy 2 liters, sticking in the house, I'm going to binge on that Pepsi right now. I can't have one glass. The whole 2 liter.
Right.
And, you know, I'm a writer, so I tend to keep drinking while I'm writing. And before I know it, the whole 2 liters gone in one day. So I know I can't have that in the house. It's very difficult. We have some.
So what's the best way you can what's the best way that you can, what can you do to make sure that you don't indulge in it?
Don't buy it. I just don't
bring it in the house.
Don't bring it in.
It's crazy.
Because if
you don't bring it in, You can control your house. You can't control what happens outside because we're always, have it in our face. It's on commercials, it's on our phone, it's on ads, but you can control what comes in your house.
Right. Oh, we got to give her some props for that, because that's definitely a great tip, because if you don't have it, don't go get it.
Don't go get it.
Don't use it.
Don't buy
substitute
it. So if you drink it at work, if you're just starting out in a healthy lifestyle, if you drink soda at work, let that be something you do at work. Don't bring it back home. Just do that type of thing at work until slowly but surely you can get strong enough to move it to the next letter. Because let me let you know, Diet Pepsi was my drink of choice. And if you can see the gleam in my eye when I talk about it, because I love Diet Pepsi. I love regular Pepsi, but Dr. Pepper was my man. So I love Dr. Pepper all the time, every day, all day. So I had to go to diet. Then I had to go to the little Crystal Light shake-in, the fruity type thing. And I've been on my journey for 4 years now. But just last year was when I finally just went to all water. It took 4 years for me to get away from soda. So I don't stand here and say, oh, you got to leave soda alone. That's just not good for you. Like, I never did it. I just got that taste out of my mouth. Can I go back to it? Yes, ma'am. If I were to drink a soda, it'll go right back to where it was. It'll go right back to it. And it's going to be hard for me to come and ream it back in. So I know I just can't consume that.
And that's how you know it's an addiction, and it really is addictive. Right. Because that's exactly the same thing as people with a drug. And I used to tell people I could literally put an IV of Pepsi and I would be so happy into my vein. I could see myself. Yeah, I could just plug it in right here. I'm good.
I love Pepsi.
Yeah,
I love Dr. Pepper. My mom is a Pepsi drinker, and it's hard for me to see her because my dad died when I was 10 years old, and it's hard for me to see my mom gain weight. And she worked 3 jobs, the whole time. So she was very active, always moving. So now that she's retired and she's a newlywed and she's just sitting there, I can see the weight picking up. So it's concerning me. And I've been definitely talking to her about that. But, the prophet is not allowed in his own hometown. So you know how that goes. They don't want to hear it from me.
Right.
But hopefully she'll be able to change.
Well, for our guests that are listening, because I know I have this issue, I have a husband who's trying to gain weight. So he eats whatever he wants. So how do you manage when everybody else in the household can eat what they want and you can't?
Well, my husband actually lost 80 pounds, and he is a sheriff deputy here in our county. And with that being said, they get a lot of free food at every greasy spoon here in the town.
Right.
So slowly but surely, he has regained about 50 pounds. But it's just like this. I've been married since I was 18 years old. I'm 37. I've been married for a long, long time. But I had to remember that this is for me. And I want my husband to be good. And I want him to lose the weight. And I want him to be able to make healthy food choices. And I want him, to finally let this go. But I got to worry about me. And it sounds very selfish. And a lot of times as women, we find ourselves being selfish. We think it's selfish when we want to go exercise, when we make healthy food choices, and you have to make no one else is on track with you. But you have to really, how horses have those little tunnel goggle things.
Yes.
You have to put those blinders on and know what your goal is. It's your goal. You weren't born with your man. He has his own DNA. You have your own DNA. You just like with you congratulate your husband as he's gaining. But at the same time, you got to grit your teeth and push back.
Right.
I mean, it's just what it is. It's what it is. But, when we start changing our relationship with food and really put food in its place and put it down as fuel, food is not our man. It is not our companion. It is not our friend. And, a lot of times I even find myself doing it. I have to tell people, because I can see a certain look in people's eyes when they talk about food a certain way. And even my participants, whenever, they get happy about it. Mm-hmm. My participants, when they come to me and they say, Natasha, I'm really just sick of baked chicken and green beans. I'm like, it's plenty of other options out there. I said, what you're doing is you have abused food. Food has abused you for so long, you're making an excuse for it, just like an abusive relationship. I said, you need to put food on your plate and let it know that it is fuel for your body. It is not for you to consume, to think that it's going to take this place, or changing your mind saying, I don't like the way that tastes. Honestly, and some people aren't there yet, and I know you struggle with this, but food is not really to taste good. Our ancestors ate food and they went out in the field to work. The food was there to give them the nourishment and the vitamins that they need to go out to be able to work the long hours. But then us Americans in this modern day society, we consume this food and then we sit on our butts all day at a computer. So we're getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So what I try to let people know is you have to put food in its place, put it where it belongs. And we celebrate with food, we grieve with food. We socialize with food. It's always there. It's always a part of whatever we're doing as a group. We got to find some other things to do.
Right.
Whether it's instead of going to the coffee shop and having donuts and coffee, let's go for a walk and talk. You know,
good idea.
Let's go skating. Let's do something different other than always eating. And people look at me like I'm a monster with 3 heads when I say that, but it's true. We really do have to change our relationship.
Well, that's some great advice. I like the walk and talk idea. That's really good. I'm going to answer some questions here.
Okay.
Did you ever skip meals during the process? Pearl wants to know.
Not necessarily skip meals, just like you said, just really scale down at dinner, because I noticed that I was eating a lot at dinner. And have you ever noticed, like, when you really pig out late at night and you wake up the next morning and you feel like you can like eat the tabletop? You ever notice that? Because you're like your glycemic level and you've just basically slept on all these calories. Mm-hmm. So if you eat a smaller amount at night, then you're not as hungry in the morning, and then you can actually fuel your body instead of acting like a ravenous pig and, just pigging out. So I didn't necessarily skip meals, but I really did scale down several of the food groups near the end of the night. And that was very hard for me because in my community, and I'm speaking of Black people, as babies, we put cereal in our bottles for our babies at like 2 months old to keep them sleep longer through the night. So think about that. So since I was 2 months old, I have been put to bed on full stomach. To be able to change that one thing was so hard for me. I felt like a crackhead laying in the bed because I did not have that full feeling. I wanted that full, relaxing feeling. So I started my weight loss journey in April. When I got to the point where I was ready to start scaling back at night, it was wintertime. This is what I did. I got a heating pad, and I put the heating pad on my stomach at night. They gave me the sensation, not necessarily being full, but of just a satisfied feeling. And that was hard because I would drink water, put my heating pad on my stomach, but I was able just to go to sleep because it was soothing to me. It was still something, instead of that big bloated, button my pants, lay in the bed feeling, it was just something that was soothing to me when I drank like some warm milk or I drank just some water and put my heating pad on my stomach. That's what got me through that. And I had to do that for about 3 months.
Wow. That's a good suggestion, though, if you feel like, you need to eat. I go through these moments, though, I think where my stomach shrinks. So I don't eat a lot, which is great. I love those moments. But then all of a sudden I might have a binging moment where I'm eating more than necessary. And then I can't get full. Like for the next 2 weeks, I just want to eat, and I can't get full. Have you ever had that experience?
Yes, I have. And I had that experience when I went to Jamaica. And the first time that I went to Jamaica, I had got down finally to my size 16 jeans, which sounds very big for some people, but I was excited. That was the first time I had ever purchased jeans out of a store since I was probably about 20 years old.
And what size were you before?
So I wore, before, my largest size was a 36.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
And that's not men's 36. That's women's 36. So most of the time in the store, women's clothes only go up to 28. So I was having to order my clothes online or have them made. Wow. But what was I
Jamaica.
So I went to Jamaica and I wore my size 16 jeans and I was at the airport taking pictures and being cute. So we went to this all-inclusive resort and, it's all alcohol and not for any religious reasons. I just don't drink. I can't find a drink that I like that works for me. So when everyone else was ordering another round of drinks, I was getting another platter of French fries. And I know for 4 days, I ate platters and platters of French fries at night. Do you know that final night when I tried to put my jeans to wear back home, because it's kind of cool on the plane, I could not fit them past my hips.
Oh, it happens fast.
So when I got back home, I had gained 12 pounds in 4 days.
It happens fast.
4 days.
Yeah.
And I almost had a nervous breakdown because I felt like I had just slipped up and it was very hard. I had drank diet soda the whole time. I ate these French fries the whole time. So when I got back in my environment and when I would make my normal food, it didn't taste the same. I didn't like it anymore. But I knew I did not want to go back to that place. Mm-hmm. So whatever it took for me to get that taste out of my mouth and push myself through that very uncomfortable moment, I was going to do it, whatever it took.
And that's where I am now, because right after my pageant, I was at my lowest in my pageant. And then that week, as soon as the pageant was over, I had strawberry shortcake, I had burgers, I had everything I always wanted. And I gained, in that week before I left Las Vegas to come back home, I had already gained 5 pounds. So it happened that fast. And then I was like, then you get depressed, upset, like, oh my God, now how do I get this off? And it takes way longer to get it back off.
It does. Because you got to remember that our body is very comfortable. It's very comfortable at that bigger amount of weight. So as soon as you feed those fat cells again, it's like, oh my God, thank God, Janice is back. I don't know what she was thinking about when she was starving us to death, but she is back. Yay. So you have to remember that our body is very, very comfortable at that point. So I try to tell my participants, if you have a cheat meal, and I hate that word, if you have a cheat meal, that you have to get back on track the next meal, not the next day, the next meal. So if not, that cycle will only just get bigger and bigger and bigger. And before you know it, you are full-fledged wrong. Just eating what you want when you want to eat it, because you can't get it back in. You can't seem like you can't get control of it. So that's why I always say, if you eat something off plan, you binge eat, you eat something that's out of your norm, eat it, but then take your butt back to where you belong and stay there before you end up having a reverse reaction. And it can happen. And
that's why it's a journey. And I don't believe in totally depriving yourself of things. But like you said, if you go off track with, say you have a burger, I can't even eat burgers anymore if I want to. But if you have a burger, you don't have to eat the whole thing. Get a kid's burger, just get that taste, the satisfaction, and then have a salad the next meal. So I do that. Let me see. We also have a good question. How do you cope on craving days? Of course she has cravings, Pearl. Yes, she has. Everybody has cravings. Those are the wicked
us women. You know how us women are. And, I have those times of the month that are very, very hard for me. And it seems like I could definitely, it's like I'm like the poster child for healthy eating until it's that time of the month. And then I just want to forget all of it. So even at my heaviest, I was not a chocolate eater, but I love cake. So what I usually do is I go purchase the sugar-free Cool Whip, and it reminds me of ice cream. And it's not very many calories and very, very little carbs. So I just dog out on it, and it's bad, and I know I should not. But during that time, I know that I'm going to go up between 3 or 4 pounds, and I can get it right back off. But I don't deprive myself during that time because I don't want to murder someone. So it's best for me just to eat that Cool Whip and go sit down, because those cravings are different. Those are different types of cravings, and it's almost like it comes out of your soul or something. You can't control it. So before it really happens, I go and get that Cool Whip, and it helps me. I mean, it definitely helps me.
Yeah, the cravings can be really wicked. I've gone to sleep and had cravings. So, you dream about stuff you haven't even had yet that you just saw a picture. Like I had a dream. I wanted chocolate mousse pie. I've never in my life, I don't even like chocolate. I've never in my life had chocolate mousse pie, but I had a craving for a week for chocolate mousse pie. And I had to find some chocolate mousse pie just to have a taste. And that was it. And that's the other thing.
And then you were over it.
Yeah.
And it was like that with pecan pie. I never ate pecan pie. And all of a sudden I was like, I gotta have like that little moist stuff that's under pecan so bad. Like I just wanted it so bad. After I had it, it kind of went away, but then I kept wanting that sugar. So I think it's 25 calories for 2 tablespoons of Cool Whip. So, of course, I ate more than 1 tablespoon, but, I would have it, and then I would be really low on my carbohydrates for the rest of the day, but I made sure that I at least got that part over.
And LaTanya has a good question. She said, is it hard for you to maintain your weight loss, and what tips do you have to stay focused? She realizes it's a lifestyle change, but what tips do you have to stay focused? That's important.
Just not ever want to go back to that moment. Not ever want to go back to the point where I could not fit into my clothes anymore. I no longer want to be, let me see, how can I say this? I spoke on behalf of the Full Figured Woman from 2007 until 2010 when I made my weight loss journey. I spoke on behalf of people to make sure that plus size women and plus size or heavier people in general were not discriminated against because of their size. And even though I was speaking on that behalf, I did not want to be in that place. So with me not wanting to be in that place in 2010, when I started speaking of healthy lifestyles, I kind of got like some backlash, but it's just to the point where when I say I stay motivated, it's more that I know that I'm good enough. You know what I'm saying? Like I had to really, really, really hash out the reason of why I was so overweight, why I was abusing food the way I was doing. And it was because I just felt like that's all I was worth. Like that's, of course, I mean, everybody else around me was overweight. I'm supposed to be overweight. And now that I know that I'm different and I'm set apart and I have a purpose, and I never would have guessed that this would have been my purpose. But now that I know that, I just know that I can't be reverted. So what keeps me motivated is facilitating the healthy lifestyle classes, being the accountability partner for other people who want to make the change. That's what keeps me focused, because this is my ministry, even though it's a different type of ministry, but I'm not one of those ministers who's going to say one thing and then do another. I can't look at you and say, you need to get some exercise, you need to make healthy food choices, and I'm not doing it. After a while, it's going to start showing, and you're going to be able to see that, in fact, I'm not following my own advice. So how I stay motivated is being someone else's accountability person. And you might be able to do the same thing, too, if you were to get a partner and find someone that you guys can relate to each other, and then you'll be able to have someone to kind of lean on. So my way that I stay motivated is to help others and to show them the way as well.
Right. I think that's great. If you can go to a class and you can befriend someone, even at class, who's going to be looking for you at that class every time, that's a good one too. I know for me, I know some people don't like to do this, but I have to weigh myself every morning, because if I don't weigh myself every morning, I can easily slip and within a week be 5, almost 10 pounds overweight, because I just didn't realize what I was doing. So, because I don't track my food anymore. I used to do that in the beginning, and I just kind of know. But sometimes I forget because my husband's eating stuff. Do you want me to make you a grilled cheese? Oh, yeah, sure. You know, and I don't think about it, what I've eaten. And next thing I know, I'm overweight. So now if I weigh myself every morning, if I start to go to this side of the needle, I know I have to now go cut back and watch more what I eat. So that motivates me, because I don't want to go back either, because it was too hard to get here.
Well, just to let you know as well, I'm a part of the National Weight Loss Registry. And when you get a moment, just Google National Weight Loss Registry. I'm one of those 3,000 people that the qualifications to be a part of this registry, and you can be a part of it too, Janice, is to lose at least 30 pounds and keep it off for a year. But it's work, because they want to know your food logs. They want to know how often you exercise. And when they had a team of people go in and research all 3,000 of these people, the couple of determining factors they had was, one, they weighed every day. Usually they say to weigh only once a week, but it's now a scientific study, just like you said, that if you weigh every day, it keeps you more accountable, and it keeps that number in mind, because some people say, I don't want to know that number. And I have fluctuated my weight now that I'm doing weightlifting, but you have to know the number to be able to be accountable for it. The second thing is that they get, that they eat breakfast every morning. They make sure that they eat that breakfast every morning, no matter what. This is people who have lost weight. These group of people have an average of 66 pounds of weight loss, and they have kept it off for 5 years. So they know what they're talking about. It's not just about me. These people definitely know what they're talking about. So number 1 was to weigh daily. Number 2 was to make sure you eat breakfast. And number 3 is to get at least minimum of 150 minutes of physical activity every week. It doesn't have to be hitting the gym. It could be vigorous house cleaning. It could be yard work. It could be walking around in the store. Whatever it takes for you to be active, because at 438 pounds, I got to the place where I could not even take my children to an amusement park anymore and walk them around. I had to pay someone to do that. So don't take those small things for granted. Just even, and let me tell you something else. You can even start seeing the difference when you pay for your gas. Another reason why us Americans got so heavy, paying at the pump instead of walking your butt in the store. I mean, even though it sounds crazy, but just think about that. When we just get to pay at the pump, then get right back in the car, but at least you had to walk into the store, wait in line, then walk back out. That might only burn a couple of calories, but just think about how sedentary our lives are right now. So whenever you can take that extra moment to do some squats at your desk, to go out for a 15-minute walk, do it. Every single move, every single exercise, every single physical activity thing you do it with a purpose. So then you'll know that you're actually burning calories throughout that time.
At work, we had, when I was working before, we had a group that would go out at lunchtime and walk for a half hour. We had trails in the back, which was really neat. But that was we look forward to doing that every day. Now, let me see. We have another question from Boss. Hey, Boss. If you feel like you've plateaued, and God knows we've all been there, what's the best way to lose that last 10 pounds, that notorious last 10 pounds? That's
Well, I am still trying to get there myself, and I know the feeling. I do have quite a bit of, as you see, loose skin going on. It's not as bad as it could be. Can you see that?
Yeah.
So all over, I have quite a bit of loose skin. So I know that that is the determining factor of a lot of my weight. But I would say, honestly, as we all know, and I'm not an advocate for Atkins diet, but really watching those carbohydrates. Watching those carbohydrates and really, really do some intentional water drinking, a minimum of a half gallon or a gallon per day. Remember that our fat cells are excreted through our urine. So even though it's very annoying to pee all day, remember that every time you're going to pee, that you are releasing fat cells. So I would say to always, be very cognizant of the carbohydrates that you're eating, the breads, the sugars, the rice, those type things, starchy vegetables as well, sweet potatoes, peas, that kind of thing. Really watch those, and to make sure you're doing a lot of intentional water drinking, not only at meals, but just throughout the day as well.
Right. I've heard all kinds of things. I've heard people say, have a burger and fries and then go back to jumpstart that plateau. But that doesn't work for me. I've not figured it out yet.
I've heard steak. I've heard you should even eat a steak and then just go back to, your normal way of eating. But that's also a temporary fix. I mean, think about it. It's still just a temporary fix. So even though it's still that last 10 pounds, just know that if you are really incorporated with having a healthy lifestyle, that weight loss is a side effect because the weight is not supposed to be there. So if you can concentrate on making sure that you are walking the walk to a healthier lifestyle, the weight will come off. It might not come off eventually, immediately like we want, as us Americans always want everything to come off fast and want to come off quick. We did not get it overnight. You have got to embrace the process and realize that slowly but surely it's going to come off. But you have to stay consistent and you have to have your mind ready.
I agree with that. And you can also try changing up your exercise, right? Because
absolutely,
I might take doing fun things like I wanted to do, and I never got a chance to do it when I lived up north, was New York, and I'm scared of heights. So this would satisfy two things: get rid of scared of heights. They have at Chelsea Pier, they have trapeze. What do you call it? I can't get the word out. Trapeze. Thank you. They have these where you can join and you can swing, and they have nets, and it's right by the waterfront. It's really cool, and I always wanted to try that because I knew it was safe. I'm going to land on the net if I miss, but I that's something different. So I tried swimming. I go to the gym. I mix it up. What I do at the gym, and mix up. If I'm going, I love swimming here because now I live in Naples, Florida. I can swim every day as long as the weather holds up. But I know my body's going to.
And also, a lot of times too, a lot of people have to realize even exercise tapes. I did a lot of exercise tapes because living in Florida, as you know, it's always raining. Or it's always extreme heat, or, when it is cold, it's really cold to us because we're not used to it. So exercise tapes are also a really good way that can keep you motivated and keep you going so you don't get so stagnant, especially during these winter months. And a lot of us don't know that we have undiagnosed seasonal depression. When it starts getting darker earlier, you just really don't want to exercise and be outside when it's dark. So just really still remember, maybe take your walk during your lunchtime or exercise before you come home, but just make sure that you get it done.
Right. All right. Let me see. We can get a couple more questions here. Okay. Sure. So they just want to know what's your take on GMOs, because I know I have a strong opinion, but I'm going to let you do that since you are a special guest, because GMOs are genetically modified organisms in our food that they're using these days.
Honestly, being a representative of the state of Florida and having access to so much, I can't answer that because I'm going to let them see this link. So I'll let you answer that. They wouldn't want me to answer that.
Well, I try to do everything as organic as possible, especially if I don't have to peel it, I might get oranges and not care where they necessarily come from. But especially if I don't have to peel it, like grapes and things like that, then I'm going to ingest. I try to avoid as much GMO as possible. And that was hard even because my husband is so brand loyal. He wants the stuff he grew up with, the Heinz ketchup and the Hellman's mayonnaise. Nothing else will do. So, and the peanut butter with Skippy, you know. So
if I was a choosy mom, though, I choose Jif.
See, if I wouldn't buy one of those brands, he didn't want it. So he was like, why is the oil floating on top of the peanut butter that's all natural and organic? That's the way it's supposed to be, honey. You know, I don't like this ketchup. What kind of ketchup is this? It doesn't taste like my hunt. So I had a fight for it. And I'm totally, you know, we don't know enough about GMOs. We know what it does to rats. You know, they get this after, I think, 9 generations, they found that rats are sterile. So what are they trying to sterilize our future? I don't know. But maybe population controls, all kind of conspiracy theories for that.
You never know.
But I just, you know, I personally, I try to, you can't get rid of GMOs completely, but I try to limit what I take of anything, because I just go to buy the old adage that, you know, too much of anything is not good for you. So that's how I look at that. But as far as weight loss, I don't know if it matters as far as GMO is concerned as much as the sugar and the fats that's in the food. As far as GMO, I think it's a personal thing.
Yeah, it's a personal thing. And a lot of times, too, we get so caught up with GMOs and micros and carbohydrates and all these terms. You know, when you're so far overweight, or you have such a, you know, huge amount of weight to lose, we have to really try to keep it simple, because if we get too overwhelmed, you know, we already have so much weight to lose. You want us to write it down. You want to take away my soda. You want me to go exercise. Yeah. It's so much to do at once. And if you already have a full-time job and a family, the last thing you want to do is to get overwhelmed, because when that happens, it is over. And that's when we just give up, because it's too overwhelming. So with that being said, go back to what I said, was to keep it simple, to keep the thoughts of having a healthy lifestyle in clear view. And I promise you, it will come off if you are consistent.
Okay. So what's in the future for Natasha? Where do you see yourself going with this weight loss journey and this career?
I love my job. I really, I love what I do. I stay very motivated with what I do. I'm currently waiting to see if I'm accepted by Emory, because my goal is to be a master trainer for the people who facilitate these classes. So I want to be able to facilitate the facilitators and teach them how to teach other people to get control of their health and to make healthy choices as well. So that's one of my very short-term goals. Eventually, I want to be able to try to, you know, have my own, I wouldn't say I want to be the next Jenny Craig, but I think that I would like to continue to try to teach people the true meaning of a healthy lifestyle and the consistency part of it, because I really don't think it's really about the food or the product. I think that if we start changing our behavior and we start changing our relationship with food, that this will all kind of, you know, mellow out. Obesity is the baseline of every single solitary chronic disease it is. I mean, it is just known. So if we can try to get control of that and to really, really ring in all of these health issues and just let people know to just get more active, make healthier food choices, drink some water, and just to go for a walk and not be stressed out and get enough rest. Concentrate on yourself and worry about taking care of yourself. Then we can just move forward with that. But I'm also working on a couple of other things that if you guys want to follow me on Facebook, I'm Natasha Coleman. Or you can follow me on Twitter, Natasha Coleman, Natasha M Fitness. I also do fitness classes as well. Then you'll start seeing some updates. I have some pretty cool things coming out very soon.
Right. I'm going to put your link up here for your group. Let's see if I can pull that real quick. Let's see. Speaking Natasha Coleman. There we go. Let me see. I'm going to paste it right here.
Yay!
If you guys can give me, give my guest a few props for being here today, because I really appreciate you. Give us some great advice.
Props. Yay!
Thank you. I appreciate it. I really do. Someone asked, is it Emory in Atlanta, or are you going to? If that's where you're going to go in Atlanta, that's awesome. So she'll be headed up to ATL. All right.
I'll find out this week if I've been accepted. I'm really excited about it.
Oh, I hope so. We'll keep our fingers crossed for that. And if you guys can tweet about this, the replay will be available. As Natasha said, be sure to follow us on Blab and on Twitter. And that way you'll stay abreast of what we're doing next. And also put her Facebook group up there that you can join. I'm glad
you'll see my photo. That is a photo of when I was in Dr. Oz magazine, when he came here to Panama City out at the world's most beautiful beaches, and he took my photo there on our pier. That was a really fun shoot. So you'll see my photo there as well.
Also, and if you want Natasha to come speak to one of your groups, you can contact her right here on this link through WeSpeak Worldwide, and we'll make sure we get her there to talk to you. She will also do a workout, and she will work you out. I've seen it. I've seen it. So you got to be prepared to sweat. She's going to make you sweat. All right. So I just want to thank you again. Give her props, guys. This is a great blab. I really appreciate it. And thank you so much, Natasha. I will send out the link. I will post the link also on our WeSpeak page on Facebook, which you can join. It will be also on Twitter for the replay for everyone if you want to share it with someone else. Thank you so much, Jay.
And I have I'm at a location now where I have my healthy lifestyle classes here at Impact Fitness in Panama City. So they're waiting for me now. So I'm going to get going. And you guys have a great day.
And we will follow you back as well. So thank you so much. All right. Bye.